Hello and welcome to Rogers Top Tier Cricket. I'm your host Josh McLean. Well, after 48 gripping matches, 14 countries, we are down to the big dance. Australia and New Zealand will battle it out for the world's biggest cricket prize, the ICC World Cup. Today on the show, we will take a look at the semi-finals that got them there, as well as a preview of the big match this evening at the MCG. First, let's take a look at South Africa and New Zealand semi-final in what was a bit of a nervous start for both sides.
Edge and down. Ronke puts it down. Straight up. Straight up. Could go to hand. No, another one goes bigging. At boundary, too straight, and Amla's too good to miss out on that one. Has fallen to Trent Boult, and New Zealand have their first of the semi-final.
Now de Kock, he's going to find third man, and he's gone.
So some interesting highlights indeed to start that big clash, and it's a very warm welcome to Wasim Parker, cricket expert. Hello, Wasim.
Hi, Jamie. Glad to be here.
Josh.
Josh, sorry.
You were close. We are going to throw to Jamie, though.
Yes.
Jamie, how are you? And down in New York?
I'm very good.
Mate, you must have been pretty pleased with the start that New Zealand had. Trent Boult picked up the big wicket of Hashim Amla and Quinton de Kock gone early. That was a good start.
Yeah, we needed those wickets, particularly after, that nervous start that you're talking about. A couple of chances went bigging, a couple of catches went down, and a couple of missed run-outs. So for Boult to come back and knock over both openers was really important for us.
It looked as though both sides were just a little nervous at the start of this game, Jamie. Did you feel the nerves?
Oh, of course. Very, very nervous. Despite the fact I obviously love my Black Caps team and thought they would do well, I still was leaning towards South Africa. My brain was telling me that, so I was incredibly nervous. But yes, obviously both sides were nervous too, particularly I think AB de Villiers. Throughout the match, he just looked completely on edge. But yeah, played well.
Now, Wasim, it was a very interesting start to this match. What did you make of South Africa's batting in the early stages?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It was a nervous start. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't really blame the players. It was a World Cup semi-final. I just got nervous, so we are calling you the wrong name. So, we can't blame those sportsmen. For some of them, the biggest occasion of their lives, a World Cup semi-final. I think they went about it the wrong way. Even someone as calm and collected as Hashim Amla, I feel like he was looking for the ball, chasing after Quinton de Kock, chased after one, got out, probably just at the time when the ball stopped swinging. If he was calm and collected for another over or two, with his hitting ability, he could have set up a much better platform for South Africa. So nervous start is the right description.
A nervous start indeed, although South Africa did manage to get back on track soon after. Du Plessis and de Villiers played a very, very important partnership. Let's take a look at that.
And he just drops it a bit short this time, Trent Boult. So it is a chase for Danny Vettori.
Go, Dan. Oh, the old general got there.
Little bit short, not much though, but Faf du Plessis rocks back. And he's not going to get four by any means. It's Danny Vettori again. He's going to say, hang on, lads. Oh, that's a great shot. Riley Rousseau just elegantly launching this through mid-on.
Oh, that's gone away, and gone away from Luke Ronke as well. Oh, lucky Riley Rousseau. That's a good shot. He does take the risk and it comes off.
To pitch it up. Yeah, he did.
And Du Plessis got him. He hit it back past Tim Southee.
In the air, taken, what a catch! He is brilliant, Martin Guptill.
Just over mid-on, run into the deep. It was high on the bat from Du Plessis. Down the wicket, long and straight. And that is a big one. And a much-needed one for South Africa. It's fine. It's beaten the short man. It's racing away to the ropes and gets there quickly. Wicked and hit strong. And Minnoff won't get it. That is another beautiful shot. A.B. de Villiers, he was backing across and he just punched it straight back past the bowler. And another one off the back foot this time, but it was full. Henry went for a Yorker. Another short one. Not quick enough to do that, and he's paid the price. It's another short one. It's in the same spot, and it's the same result. So Anderson being expensive. Oh, in the gap. Beautifully done. Don't worry about third man.
In the air, dropped him. Oh, it's a big one. A.B. de Villiers, it was a tough one. Oh, A.B. de Villiers goes downtown. He's charged him. Is it all the way? Yep. Maxman. De Villiers got the gap again. It's more skill through the offside this time. This is dangerous for New Zealand. Again, down the town, yeah, down the ground here. We're just toying with Anderson now. Wherever he wants to hit the ball, he's got it. Oh, what a shot. That's just great skill. He just stayed leg side of the ball a little bit, didn't try and overhit it. Full and down the ground for 4 from du Plessis. Now he gets in on 2 boundaries already from this over.
So some sheer class from some very good South African players was him. De Villiers, du Plessis, yeah, they're good players, aren't they?
They are, and some of the shots are just unimaginable. You know, the straight drive, to hit the straight drive in about the 30th over after the ball's over, off the back foot, then those shots towards third man, just phenomenal.
All right, so lots and lots of action to come today on Rogers Top Tier Cricket. Great to have your company. When we come back after the break, we will see some David Miller fireworks. See you soon.
Massive shot. Jesus, strong man. It was a half volley, it's fair to say. That'll be 4 more. Southey going for width. Again, over the top of mid-off. McCullum desperate to get across. Couldn't manage it. McCullum get across. No, he can't. It goes under the captain. Straight up. And over, and Ross Taylor will not get that. Straight down the ground for 4. That's muscle. Out and out muscle. In fact, has it carried the whole way? Maybe. It has. You can add 6 to that, and that's a mighty big 6. Top deck, top draw. 4 more. So strong. Don't have to worry about that. That's gone miles back.
Stunning stuff from David Miller. Gee, he's a good player when he gets going. Was him, you just feel, though, as good as that was, that rain delay couldn't have come at a worse time.
I couldn't agree with you more, Josh. I feel as well as David Miller played, 49 from 18 balls, phenomenal effort. I do feel if South Africa played the full 50 overs, they could well have easily crossed 360, maybe even reached 370, because New Zealand had part-timers like Grant Elliott and Kane Williamson left to ball. I don't know if Jamie agrees with that about his beloved Black Caps, but let's see what he has to say.
Yeah, Jamie, were you doing a rain dance down there in New York or something?
Yeah, absolutely. I was hoping the whole match was going to be rained out, because then we'd go straight through without even having to beat them. No, look, I completely agree, and I think 95% of people probably agree that the rain delay certainly hurt South Africa. But of course, there was every chance that one of these part-timers was about to come on and get a couple of hat-tricks. So, you know, you never know what might have happened.
It's an interesting point you make. The part-timers, they probably would have had to bowl them at the end. I think Anderson, maybe Elliott, because Bolt, Southey and Henry had almost bowled out by that stage. Do you think that would have made a difference?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with, I think De Villiers was still at the wicket at that stage. And, you know, he's destructive enough against even high-class bowling. But if you bring on a Grant Elliott, possibly even a Kane Williamson, I mean, he would have just taken them, you know, to the cleaners, basically. So, yeah, certainly I think the rain delay did favour the New Zealanders, but, hey, it's cricket.
All right, so in the end, South Africa, after it was adjusted with Duckworth-Lewis, ended up with 298. Let's see how New Zealand went in response, and we know Brendan McCullum's going to bring the action. Let's see what he did.
Oh, extra cover, half a dozen. Thank you very much, says Brendan McCullum. Swung away for 6 more. Stayed in his crease this time, McCullum. He's gone leg side as well. Hasn't got it quite as good as the last. 1 bounce and 4. Gets it fine enough, and that'll be 4 more. In the air, over the top. 4 more. Wow. Oh dear, that is enormous. You think there was one big one today, earlier? That's about 20 metres further. Flat, hard, 4 more. Oh, that's over the top. My word. There is no catching that unless you've got an orange shirt on. Oh, Dale Steyn's lost it there as well. Through the offside this time, 4 more. Caressed on this occasion. Out, should be taken and will be taken. Dale Steyn takes the catch.
Game on, Dooley.
Game on indeed. Brendan McCullum at his absolute best. Jamie, you feel that if New Zealand in this particular game, if they were going to chase down that total in just 43 overs, they really needed their captain to stand up, and he did just that.
Yeah, absolutely. Hugely important innings that for New Zealand to get us off to a flyer in what, you know, was a chase that was pretty mammoth, even though it wasn't as high as it could have been. Still a tough ask. And it's a high-risk game that Brendan McCullum plays, and he still does get a little bit of criticism for it from some of the fans. But obviously when it comes off, it's hugely beneficial, and yeah.
Was him to tick off 71 runs in 6 overs. It was just a head start, wasn't it?
It absolutely was, and I think, you know, Jamie made a great point about risk versus reward, and I think McCullum sort of mastered that fine balance perfectly. You look at his performances in the World Cup. Yeah, you can criticize him for maybe getting out sometimes too soon, but he's got a 50 against Sri Lanka, a 50 against England, a 50 against Australia, and now a match-winning 50 in the semi-finals against South Africa. That innings, even after he got out, New Zealand's required run rate for the rest of it was just 6 and over. So that start was absolutely crucial.
Poor old Dale Steyn. He is a fabulous bowler. He's world-class, but he got an absolute pasting, didn't he? And he never really came back from that.
No, and I have to say, Josh, overall, I think Dale Steyn fans would be pretty disappointed with the Dale Steyn that we saw at the 2015 Cricket World Cup. I don't think he bowled anywhere near his best in any of the innings. And what was really sad to see in the semi-finals, it clearly rattled him. McCullum got the better of him. You were seeing Dale Steyn bowl outside leg stump, short pitch deliveries. He just wasn't bowling to his strengths. McCullum got into his head and he took advantage of it.
Jamie, it's not often a man can come off 237 and play second fiddle to another batsman. What about poor old Guptill at the other end?
Yeah, well, I guess what McCullum does is he takes the pressure off Guptill, and he can just sit back a little bit and enjoy the show, which is basically what he did. Obviously, in the quarterfinal against the West Indies, it was all about Guptill. and McCullum having gotten out early, it was up to Guptill to set the tone, which he did. So they really are the perfect foil for each other and have been absolutely crucial to New Zealand getting all the way through to the final.
And was him, Morne Morkel got the big wicket? That was big at that time, wasn't it?
It absolutely was. And you sensed even at that time, despite the required run rate being in New Zealand's favour, that it looked like a challenging chase at that time. And a few players, few experts had South Africa as the favourites.
All right, so despite McCullum getting out cheap in the end for less than he probably wanted, it was Elliott and Anderson who did the job. Let's come back after the break and see how they went on Rogers Top Tier Cricket.
Oh, he dragged it down. Oh, that's a bad blow for New Zealand.
Oh, gone. Guptill has gone. There was hesitation there. Ross Taylor is distraught. Grant Elliott. That's a beautiful way to get off the mark, isn't it? Got a long way across there. It's almost premeditated.
Appeal is gone. South Africa needed wickets. Was a caught behind down the leg side. That swung back nicely, and it's well played from Anderson. Full face of the bat. That'll relieve the pressure. That'll be 4. One man to beat, he does it easily.
Hard sweep, another boundary. Second of the over.
Into the deep, that's 6, way back. That's what they need, New Zealand. It's full and it's through. It's a half volley. And it's around about the 4th or 5th ball of the over for Lander that normally costs him, and it's done it again.
Full toss, and he puts him straight back into the south stand. Handsome stroke by Elliott. Not sure how well timed this is. AB's the man who's after it.
Oh, here's the chance. If he hits, he's gone. Oh, has he hit the stumps? I don't think he had the ball.
Guides it down, and it's beaten Morne Morkel. Morkel can't stop it. Smashed for 4. Oh, he's hit that hard. Now then, there's no one out there, and that has just been helped on its way for 6. Goes over extra. A.B. de Villiers is the fielder. And it's going to be 4. He can't stop it from rolling onto those boundary cushions.
Gets it through, Anderson. And was the sparing divers not good enough? Beautiful shot. Lovely piece of timing over the top for Grant Elliott, and he has 50 as well. That's away. He didn't time it perfectly, but he got the gap. And that's 4 more to Anderson.
So a very important stage of the match there for New Zealand. They needed to consolidate after losing back-to-back wickets, and they did just that. We'll go to Jamie Lloyd for this one. Jamie, Elliott and Anderson, they just steadied the ship, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They did exactly what they needed to do. Obviously, throughout this World Cup, New Zealand has relied heavily on the top 4, the big guns, as it were, McCullum, Guptill, Williamson and Taylor. Although he's been in pretty bad form, he has contributed some good little knocks for New Zealand. So I was nervous, along with I'm sure most of New Zealand, to see how Elliott and Anderson would respond, and they did, as I say, exactly what they needed to. They just knocked the ball around, waited for the bad ball, and once they got their eye in, they started to open up a little bit.
So at that stage of the game, it was all set up for a thrilling finish. Let's see if New Zealand got over the line.
Oh, straight up. Straight up. Who's underneath it? Oh, he's taken it. He's got it. Yeah, he has. That's gone. That's gone. Way back. Wow. That'll run away. That could run for 4. That will run for 4. Oh, that could be out. Should be out. Is out. Steyn gets the breakthrough, and Ronke is gone. Might get 2. They might get 2. I think they will get 2. Oh, Durant, that wasn't no. The stumps light up. I think the clock has knocked the bails off. Elliott crunches it over cover. Oh, it's gone up. Now, someone's got to get to this, surely. Someone's got to get to it. Oh, they've knocked it. Oh, no, New Zealand don't want to run. It's calamity out there. Oh, he's hit a gap. He's hit a 4. Daniel Vettori has pierced the finest of gaps. Here we go. Dale Steyn. Elliott on strike. Elliott hits it up into the grandstand, and New Zealand are in the World Cup final. Grant Elliott, Superman. South Africa despair. They're down on their knees. New Zealand goes wild. They're making the trip for the big prize.
Absolute heartbreak for South Africa once again in a big final. Jubilation for New Zealand. Wasim, how good are those scenes?
Amazing, amazing scenes for New Zealand, and the atmosphere at Eden Park in Auckland was absolutely phenomenal that evening. I have to say, Josh, I'm going to digress a little bit over here. You say heartbreak for South Africa. I do feel bad for the players. It's never nice to see the players in tears. But I have to say, South Africa once again choked. They missed those key moments. I don't know what JP Duminy was thinking, but in all the years I've watched cricket, I've never seen fine leg go towards square leg and dive for a catch. Like, was he thinking it was Brian Habana playing rugby at the Eden Park? I didn't understand that at all. There were some missed chances over there. And you know what? As good as the batting display it was from both teams, I think that Eden Park pitch had a lot of carry. If you looked at the middle overs when Philander, Morkel and Steyn were bowling, they managed to beat the bat once every over. So why didn't they keep those lines consistent? To me, it screams mental disintegration over there.
It's interesting. Jamie, we talk a lot about South Africa's troubles with getting to finals and struggling through them. Do you think they choked?
I think choke is a harsh word. I think it was more what we were talking about at the start, which is both teams were very nervous. And both sides made uncharacteristic mistakes, especially in the field. But in the end, South Africa perhaps made 1 or 2 more than New Zealand, and I think that was the difference in the end.
All right, well, New Zealand, they held their nerve and they find themselves in a World Cup final. Who would they play? We'll find out after the break when we show highlights of Australia in their big semi-final. So Australia versus India, the other big semi-final matchup. Steve Smith has been in fantastic form for the last 12 months for Australia. Once again, he stood up and did a great job. Let's take a look and see his highlights.
What a stroke. What a stroke. Stand still and watch the ball under the blade of the bat. We saw the maker's name there. That's a beauty. That's what Sourav Ganguly wants to see from Aaron Finch, or doesn't want to see, depending on your take. No, but Smith finds a little space. I mentioned his ability to do that. It's a shortish boundary, not short, but shortish.
Was in the air, but hit the gap, and that's the shorter side. We'll get there for 4.
Great shot through mid-wicket. Picked up the short ball superbly well and punished it to the mid-wicket boundary.
And that's 4 more. There's a 3rd boundary in the over. He's getting a move on.
Oh, another one. Great shot. Racing to the square leg boundary again. Finally, there's no chance. Another pull shot from Smith through mid-wicket for 4.
Well, if it's going to work, it's got to work quickly, because the short ball is vanishing to the boundary very, very quickly.
Great punch there from Finch. That's the power. And that's 50 up for Stephen Smith. It's been a fantastic summer.
4 runs. Finch has started to wait on the ball now. Finds the space at extra cover. That's not that easy to do against the spin. Well, the pitch just offering a little bit to Ashwin, not a lot. Brilliant. Fantastic batting. There's 50 for Aaron Finch. Brilliant. Little skip.
Straight down the ground is always a beautiful shot to watch. This looks like it's going to be a good innings. 4 more. Just knows exactly where the field is. There's nobody there, and it doesn't matter even if there was somebody. He's 6 here. That'll be 100 for Steve Smith. Not for the first time, and something tells me not for the last. And we'll keep coming.
Shot down the ground. Slow ball. Well picked up from Smith and hammered past long on.
Right, then you can have as many as you want, but he'll end up playing shots like that, Aaron Finch. Right, the fielder there. This could be the wicket India wanted, and it is.
It's got him. He has got him. Finch has got to go. That's what India needed, to go bang, bang.
Well, an Indian-dominated SCG crowd made no difference to the classy Steve Smith. He's in great form, but you just feel Australia has a bit more stability, with him at 3 instead of Watson.
Absolutely. I think Steve Smith, batting at number 3, has brought a calmness to the team. Even in some tricky moments, you'd have to say in the quarterfinal against Pakistan, when Wahab Riaz was going great guns in that spell, I think Steve Smith staying not out during that played a crucial role in Australia winning that match. Then again in the semi-final, the ball was doing something. You know, Shami and Yadav didn't start so badly. You'd normally think Indian bowlers would cave under the situation, but those first 10 overs, they bowled really well. They got David Warner out. Finch was struggling. I have to say that's probably one of the worst half-centuries I've ever seen, but an important half-century nonetheless.
Yeah.
But Smith is playing as if he belongs on a different planet altogether. He plays with such calmness, and there's a lot of elegance to his batting. Despite a few technical kinks around the leg side, there's an elegance to his batting that's great to watch.
Jamie, you feel that if Australia can win the World Cup, Steve Smith needs to keep this run of form going, and the poor old Indians must be sick of Steve Smith. He's scored so many runs against them this summer.
Yeah, he looks like a kid in a candy store when he's playing against India. Fantastic player to watch. He reminds me a bit of Hashim Amla, who's, as Wasim said, he's got a couple of technical deficiencies, and you'd think as a fast bowler you've always got a chance against them, the way they kind of wander around the pitch, the crease sometimes. But man, their hand-eye coordination is just off the charts, and he always seems to middle the ball. But yeah, he is absolutely crucial to Australia and to Australia's chances this evening. But boy, they've got a pretty power-packed batting lineup. So even if he does not continue this run of form, I'm sure they'll still put up a pretty good total.
Well, speaking of power-packed batters, Mitchell Johnson in the end saved Australia and got them from 300 to 327, 28 around there. Let's see what he did.
He does as well. Good shout. Over wide, mid-on, bottom hand slog. First ball for Mitchell Johnson.
So he gives himself room, he goes over wide mid-off. Johnson starts with 2 boundaries. Short and edged away. That will hurry away, so it's 4-4-4. Mitchell Johnson, 3 deliveries, 12 runs. Full toss, how often does it happen? Drop the catch, next ball boundary.
He does. He gets all of it, and it's gone for 6.
So it was at a very crucial stage of the game for Australia. India had fought back and taken 4 back-to-back wickets. That was pretty important in the end, wasn't it?
I think it was absolutely crucial that Johnson got that quick 527, because if India was set a target of, let's say, 300 or maybe even 305, the psychology behind chasing such a total is completely different when you're chasing 320, 330, because what happens then is if you have a few maiden overs, a few overs where you don't score enough runs, your required run rate scoots up to 7. If you're chasing a required run rate of 6, sometimes you can afford to bide your time in the crease, but what resulted was India had to be out of their comfort zone right from the beginning, and as it turned out to be, even though they had a good start, the pressure of chasing such a big total got to them.
And you find that when Johnson's batting well, he's bowling well as well.
Yeah, we'll see that in the next segment.
Absolutely. When we come back, we will see how India's run chase went, right here on Rogers Top Tier Cricket.
And now forward, lovely square drive, just to rub a bit of salt into the wounds. In the gap and forward. And Shikhar Dhawan at his best. Chipped away in the air, but safe in the gap. May not be forward. Johnson and Maxwell will probably keep it to 3. It's up in the air, but that's miles back. Up over fine leg for 6.
Oh, look at the timing on that. And the outfielders are for India. Oh, look how quickly that's travelled. Now he's gone the distance here. That is superbly timed, and he's hit it to the long boundaries. Now find a shot better than that. And we saw some from Steve Smith that were exquisite, but down the ground again, he's enjoying himself here, Shikhar Dhawan. Might have whispered into Michael Clark's ears, give him one more.
Oh, another good shot in the air. Maxwell's the man, he's got it. Just what Australia needed. Hazelwood's the man. It's in the air, easy catch for Brad Haddin. So the Dorada departure is bowled into by Mitchell Johnson. The dangerous Virat Kohli is going back to the dressing rooms. Oh, it's well struck. That is 6 all the way. Fantastic connection. And it's a crowd catch. Oh, he's bowled him through the gate. Fantastic bowling from Mitchell Johnson.
Good stroke. Simple little pickup from a talented guy. Oh, he's got it. Yes, he has. And James Vaughan has got it too. Some extra bounce does for Suresh Raina.
So from that moment on, Australia powered victory and find themselves in a World Cup final. Jamie, we mentioned earlier that when Mitchell Johnson's batting well, he also seems to be bowling well. Gee, he kind of broke the game open there, didn't he, with those 2 big wickets of Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli.
Yeah, that was the turning point, really. Up until then, India had been going along quite nicely, particularly with Darwin at the top. But as you say, a fired-up Mitchell Johnson is always dangerous, and he bowled really well through those middle overs and probably was the difference between the sides in the end.
All right, so let's go straight into the World Cup final, the big one we've all been waiting for, and what a clash it's going to be. Two very, very good sides. No doubt the two best teams in the competition. New Zealand unbeaten, was him. But the one thing we should mention, they haven't played at the MCG since 2009 in a one-dayer. 1987 was their last test match at the MCG. So will that play a role?
I think it definitely will play a role. I think the bigger aspect to discuss over here is the fact that New Zealand have played all their matches in New Zealand. And now for the first time in this World Cup, there's a bit of an irony over here where, you know, okay, New Zealand have had a home World Cup, but to win the World Cup, the final's actually in Australia. So I think that does play a significant part, and it does hand Australia a slight advantage, I think, where the intangibles are concerned. I guess we're going to go in depth when it comes to cricketing points, but the intangibles lie in favour of Australia because it's at the MCG.
Jamie, do you feel there's a little bit of trepidation from the New Zealand camp with regards to having to travel across to Australia and play them on their home ground?
I don't think the trepidation will be in the New Zealand camp. I think it's more with the New Zealand fans. I completely agree with Wasim that, you know, the favour does lie with Australia with home conditions. But these guys are seasoned professionals now. They play all around the world. They're used to playing away. And this New Zealand team has been winning away for the last 18 months or so. So having to go over to Australia to win the World Cup will not be a huge thing in their mind. They'll just, you know, be praying and hoping that all of their plans and their preparation just plays out on the field.
Well, one thing we should mention is that a lot of tickets for this World Cup have been snapped up by Indian fans hoping to see their team in the final. From what I've heard on social media and from my Indian friends, I think Wasim, they're going to be firmly in New Zealand's camp. That'll help them.
That's going to be interesting to see. The fact of the matter is, let's say if 10,000 Black Caps fans even ventured across the border, and there's another 15,000 who were supposedly Team India fans, that's still 70-odd thousand favouring Australia in a ground that holds 100,000. So I don't think it's going to make a major difference. I think the support is clearly going to be behind Australia in this big final.
Jamie, one of the major talking points in the lead up to this game has been the difference in the size of the MCG compared to, say, some of the grounds that New Zealand are used to playing on. Is that really going to have an impact on the New Zealand players, or are they good enough players to adjust to that?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to have the impact that has been discussed throughout the week. I think we were talking off air about this earlier, and one of the things that for me is going to be massively important is the ability of both teams to run their ones, twos and threes really well. Obviously a big ground like the MCG, there's plenty of wide open spaces, and the middle orders that can control those kind of middle overs where they're just looking to tick the scoreboard over, I think that's going to be absolutely crucial. And, you know, let's hope we don't see any run-outs. Ross Taylor, I'm looking at you. But, yeah, that running between the wickets. I mean, it's always the little things that are so important in these big clashes. So, for me, running between the wickets is going to be vital for both teams.
Was in one of the areas that it looks as though Australia has a slight advantage is in the all-rounders category. Australia essentially playing four all-rounders with Watson, Faulkner, Maxwell, and we could call Johnson an all-rounder these days. New Zealand, Anderson is a genuine all-rounder, but then they don't have too many other genuine all-rounders. Do you think that's going to be a key?
It's an interesting battle, certainly, especially when it comes to the fourth and fifth bowler. You find that with New Zealand, I've actually been impressed with Matt Henry in his brief international career, but there's every chance, you know, on the big stage, the first time he's playing in Australia, he could be taken apart. So the fifth bowler after Vettori and the two opening bowlers is going to be crucial. And I find that if the opening bowlers don't manage to break through, Australia will be feasting on the likes of Grant Elliott and Corey Anderson, I personally feel. Do you think, though, the same could be said that, yes, Glenn Maxwell hasn't been expensive in this tournament so far, but he hasn't bowled in conditions where he's been challenged. If New Zealand start well, can he be exploited?
Yeah, I think so. And I think we may just see that in the final tonight. That's surely going to be one of the keys to this match. When we come back after the break, we will take a look at some of the other key matchups we're likely to see tonight. See you soon, folks. Welcome back to Rogers Top Tier Cricket. Let's take a look at some of the key matchups in the final this evening. We'll start with the top order, Wasim. Australia, their top order, pretty strong. Finch, Warner and Steve Smith at 3 versus New Zealand. Again, strong top order. Kane Williamson at 3, backing up those two great openers, Guptill and McCullum. Which team has the upper hand in that contest?
Well, it's interesting. I'm actually going to be on the fence here. I think in the number 3 stakes, and Jamie might take offense at this, I think at least on current form, I'd choose Steve Smith over Kane Williamson. Kane Williamson is a very accomplished player, an excellent player, and he's going to become an all-time great. There's no doubt about it. But right now, in his current form, I'd pick Steven Smith. The openers, though, and Josh, this might disappoint you, I don't have much faith in either Aaron Finch or David Warner. In fact, I actually think David Warner struggled with the 50-over code. He's cracked it in T20, he's cracked it in Test cricket. He's not really cracked it in the 50-over game, and except for a century against Afghanistan, which probably isn't a significant achievement in the wider picture, he hasn't really fired at this World Cup. And Aaron Finch, I'll reiterate what I said, that was probably one of the ugliest half-centuries I've seen. But if he manages to stay his ground, it could end up being more crucial than having a fluent innings.
Jamie, you feel Brendan McCullum and Martin Guptill just forming a better partnership at the top than Finch and Warner?
Yeah, it's amazing to me. I mean, when was the last time we talked about a New Zealand opening pair in any format being of any class? But they've been brilliant this World Cup, and I think they're absolutely crucial for New Zealand going into this match. I actually completely agree with Wasim. I think on current form that Steve Smith is a notch above Kane Williamson, which makes the job of Guptill and McCullum that much more important for New Zealand, particularly given that also Ross Taylor's in pretty awful form at the moment.
All right, so let's take a look at the middle order. This is also fascinating. These players match up so well. For New Zealand, we've got Ross Taylor at number 4, and then Grant Elliott, who's now found some form at number 5, and Corey Anderson at number 6. They will come up against Australia's middle order. Michael Clarke, probably not in the best form of his career. Shane Watson finding some form, and Glenn Maxwell, the entertainer. Who wins that battle?
I think this is a really close run battle, to be completely honest. I think New Zealand might have a slight edge over here because I think Elliott and Anderson have already played some solid and important innings. Anderson played a match-winning innings to start the World Cup against Sri Lanka, then played a crucial innings against South Africa. What I have to ask you, Josh, in terms of the Australian middle order, yeah, Watson's coming back into some sort of form, but then again against Pakistan, he had that fortune, the drop catch. Against an Indian bowling attack that wasn't very sharp, but 28 out of 28 balls, I don't know, didn't really thrill me. And Maxwell, great innings against Sri Lanka, but can he really perform under pressure? I'm interested in your thoughts.
Well, Maxwell, he's such a polarised figure in Australian cricket.
Yeah.
Generally, the thought back home is that he throws his wicket away far too easily and he doesn't perform in big matches. So there's a lot of nerves about Maxwell ahead of this game. Faulkner, he is probably seen as being a little more reliable than Glenn Maxwell in big matches. So, Jamie, your thoughts? Faulkner is the odd one out there. Maybe he's the extra man that Australia will have that could stand out in the middle order, or do you think Maxwell's the man?
Yeah, I think Maxwell's still the man. Obviously, he is divisive because he's kind of an all or nothing kind of player. He takes a lot of risks, and often they don't come off. We saw him fail against New Zealand in the reverse match at Eden Park. But I think on paper, for me, Australia do actually have the slight upper hand here in the middle order, particularly given Ross Taylor's form at the moment. And Ross Taylor's got to be a massive concern for New Zealand. He's so important to this batting order. Not only is he struggling to score runs, but he's also running people out and dropping catches in the field. So if he can turn it around in this most important match of his career to date, then that will certainly give New Zealand a better chance.
Okay, one area where New Zealand have a clear advantage is the spin bowling option. Daniel Vettori versus Glenn Maxwell. This is handy to have a player of his experience, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think Dan Vettori is leagues above Glenn Maxwell as a spinner. He's probably the only proper spinner combining the two teams together. For me, the real fascinating battle is actually the fast bowling attacks. If you ask me, the spinners, Vettori wins over Maxwell, hands down.
Would you agree with that, Jamie?
Yeah, I do agree. The one thing I wouldn't agree with possibly is calling Vettori a spinner, though. I don't think he's turned the ball since about 1998. But he does bowl with a lot of guile and variation, and his arm ball is a real weapon. So, yeah, definitely New Zealand has the advantage with the spin bowlers.
All right, so the fast bowlers. This is a very interesting matchup indeed. We'll start out with Mitchell Starc and Trent Boult. They're identical, so we can probably give them both big ticks. Josh Hazlewood and Tim Southee, very similar. We can probably give them ticks as well. Both excellent new ball bowlers. You feel the advantage is with Mitchell Johnson versus Matt Henry, do you think?
I agree with that. I will disagree slightly. I do think Tim Southee actually has a bit of an edge over Josh Hazlewood. I know, and I know the Australians love Josh right now, 2 great performances, but I think Josh Hazlewood opening the bowling, Brendan McCullum's thinking, you know what, if Guptill can just block out Starc, I'm going after Josh. So I think there's a big difference over there, where Southee is looking at David Warner and Finch and thinking, I can get both these guys out. So I'm going to disagree with you over there, Josh.
No, I'm okay with that, because one point I wanted to make to you, Jamie, Tim Southee always bowls well in Australia, and you feel that he has a little bit more experience than Josh Hazlewood, and because he bowls that back of a length, he's nice and tall, he's going to be a real key in this match.
Yeah, he is, and he's due a big performance, to be honest. He hasn't done a lot since that 7 for 33 against England. Trent Boult has really been the star of this show for New Zealand. So he is going to be absolutely key. And you're right, he does bowl well in Australian conditions. You know, the other thing possibly that I disagree slightly with Wasim is, or with you, Josh, is I think Matt Henry could come good. I think this kid has the ability to lead the New Zealand attack in the future, depending on what happens with Southee and Boult. He's got all the skills. He just hasn't had the chance at international level to prove himself yet. What better opportunity for him than in the biggest match of all time, from a New Zealand point of view, for him to really step up and show that he's got the goods.
Okay, Jamie, take your Black Caps hat off. Who wins it?
New Zealand.
Okay, Wasim?
Australia are the favourites, but New Zealand happy to be underdogs.
So who wins it?
I'm going to be on the fence.
Sitting on the fence. Well, I'm saying Australia, so we're all divided here on Rogers Top Tier Cricket. Thank you so much for joining us for our entire season. It's been great having you, and we'll see you again in 4 years. Enjoy the final.